Hello, welcome to Directly to You. It's episode 3 of the second season. I'm AJ. I'm joined by Dan of, I don't know what his channels are called right now because he's always
just Dan Seibert now. It's just Dan Seibert.
But yeah, you guys know Dan if you're a long-time listener of the podcast. We're also, at least temporarily, joined by my good friend Colton of the Colton Show on Twitch. He also has a YouTube channel. He's on Blues Guy. Dan's also on all of those things. I'm going to have it linked in the description. But he's here with us because we're going to talk about Donkey Kong Bananza. And he too has Donkey Kong Bananza thoughts. So,
what's up, homies?
How you guys doing, first of all?
I'm pretty good, man.
I'm doing all right. Finally at the end of my work day, and I'm just like, now I get to hang out and just talk about Nintendo, and that's a great day.
That's pretty lit. So, my day's been pretty good. I mean, as you can tell, AJ, I've been Pokemon leaguing it up.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll talk about this more for the listeners, but me and Colton been running through all the Pokemon games. We're on the precipice of finishing Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. That's what we did immediately before this. Is we beat the Pokemon League. Now we got to fight we beat the Elite Four. Now we got to fight the champion. In our next stream. But yeah, how was the rest of your day apart from that?
My day's been pretty good. As you know, like my girlfriend's a flight attendant, so she had to go fly out today. So I spent some time with her before she went out. And I came home and we contented it up. Pretty good day.
So speaking of content, this is my third stream technically today. The first stream was my third stream, yes, because I streamed the Donkey Kong Bananza Direct.
Oh my god!
I streamed Pokemon, and now I'm doing this. so yeah.
At least the Direct was short.
Yeah, it was short. And the thing, usually what I would do is I would stay live a little bit longer, but I was like, nah, I gotta go live later, so I'm not doing that. Another executive decision that I made that I usually wouldn't make is usually on Nintendo Direct days, I'm like hunkering down. I'm making a video about the Direct, but I said, nah, I'm super good off of doing that. And I'm just I'm pivoting a little bit in terms of like how I approach my videos, where like you've seen my videos, you know how like usually it'll be like about a game, but there's like a thesis statement. Instead of leading with like this video is about the game, I'm just gonna lead with the thesis statement. So like instead of being like Donkey Kong Bananza is like incredible, it looks great, or whatever, the video title is gonna be something like Nintendo does this better than anybody else, and it's about how they nurture their franchises. But we can talk about all that stuff because we're going to talk about the Donkey Kong Direct. I know both of you guys watched this. So how we want to do it? We want to just roughly go through it chronologically.
Sure. I guess that would make the most sense, right?
Okay, let me pull. I got a little rundown from My Nintendo News. Shout out. Let me pull this up. So
maybe the first thing I could say was when I first started watching it, I was like, what's this little rock thing? What's this rock situation?
And then they immediately told us.
Yeah. Then they was like, yeah, absolutely not. You're not going to be kept in the dark about that.
That's so funny.
I was surprised.
It's so funny because why'd they keep it a secret at all if they were just going to do it like that? Because like it would have been, you got to put Pauline on the box. If you're going to if you're putting Pauline in the game, you got to put her in the box.
That's true.
So it makes sense.
If she wasn't such a big part of the mechanics of the game, I would understand wanting to like hold that closer to the chest, but it's clearly like she's a huge part in how you even play it.
Right.
Yeah. Like it seems like she's like the hat in Super Mario in like that Super Mario game.
Right.
Cappy. Like Cappy, like the person that could guide you places, the person that can help you power up, the person that can help you do specific things. So when I looked at it, I was just like, I think it's funny that they kept it secret, but at the same time, it makes sense, I guess.
So I was like, when I was streaming this, I was fighting with Edward in the chat because Edward was like, he was like, oh, this is so much better than Mario Galaxy, like how the co-op is in that game. And I was like, no, it's literally not. It's literally exactly the same. The only minor difference is it seems like Pauline is broken. Like it seems like she does way more damage. Like it's so much crazier than Star Bits, but it's like the same general idea. Like I would say
Yeah.
they do this great job of like it's big brother, a little brother, right? Like that's like the core idea of it. And I think it's like still an incredibly smart way to do multiplayer for these things. Besides just putting everyone in there to play.
Yeah, just straight up allowing you to control Pauline as a standalone character.
I think the model that they use when it's like Cappy, you know what I'm saying, with Super Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
The model where they're just like, we're gonna make the UI and the usual things that could be annoying or cluttering, we're gonna make it like an interactive thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty amazing. Like, and I think that's like a thing that Nintendo kind of almost all the time knocks out the park. And like, if Ed is arguing about that, I'm like, what are we arguing about?
I think he understands it now. But he was very confused initially, where it's like, oh, but it's a little better because you can like free roam. And I was like, no, you can't. Like you are just a cursor. Like that's all you are. As Pauline, you're a cursor on the screen.
But you're on the freaking mouse. Like you're the turret.
Exactly.
That's what you are.
Exactly. And you'll be helpful, but it's definitely not the same experience as like even being Tails is the comparison that I made. Where it's like Tails and like to a lesser extent like Diddy Kong and Donkey Kong Country, they're like they're actual characters, but they're just like actual characters like that are on God mode that like don't really die. What Diddy Kong does, you got to revive Diddy Kong, but Tails doesn't.
But I was also gonna say that speaking of Diddy Kong, man, I seen.
Wait, hold on, I'm not done talking about the Pauline thing, but that we're definitely going to get back to
with Pauline.
Yeah, we're not done with Pauline. So what I was going to say about the Pauline thing, and another thing that's going to turn into it really just evolved the video that I already wanted to make, because I'm sure both of you guys, to varying degrees, like I'm very social in terms of like when I'm playing game. Like that's the main thing that'll get me on board with a game. It's like, oh, I got multiplayer, I'm down. So the thing about the Switch 2 that I'm liking a lot is like it's really incentivizing them to put some kind of online multiplayer specifically in like all of their big games. Like this is a game that traditionally would not have online multiplayer. They would just keep that little assist mode feature to being a local thing. And for me, it's like, that makes sense. That's fair. But like in my day to day, this is like something that like would not make local multiplayer time. It's like, it's always like a tier list of like, all right, we got people together that want to play Nintendo Switch 2. What do we want to play? Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, Mario Party. Like you go so far down the list that it's like, oh yeah, let's play Donkey Kong Bananza on assist mode or whatever. Versus online multiplayer, just hanging out in the Discord. We're tired of our rotation of games. You want to just mess around with that mode for a little bit, and then you get a little bit of everything. You mess around, like that's something that I could see like Colton, like that Wes is like, yo, we should do this.
That's a fact. Or even me, I'm just like, yo, I want to make a video of us messing around in the game.
Exactly. So like the more things that they make more accessible in this way is very exciting. It was like, it's the only good thing that COVID accomplished. COVID like allowed Nintendo to be like, oh, that's why online multiplayer matters.
That's why it matters.
Yeah. They're like, wait, people want to play games with their friends.
They went through COVID and then they made a whole console built around online multiplayer.
The one thing I just really, really like is the fact that you can then also just ship it over to another Switch, and not just Switch 2, the Switch 1 as well.
Switch, exactly. Yeah.
Like there's so many ways to like do this multiplayer, which I think is a step in a very positive direction.
Absolutely.
That I hope they continue to take it.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
It seems like go for it, Colton.
It seems like they're taking actual like you get what I'm saying? Like sometimes it felt like Nintendo would like be like, hey, we can do everything, but let's not do everything. It seems like they're now taking it a lot more seriously to be like, all right, how can we differentiate ourselves from the pack that seems to be thin, and specifically with like Xbox trying to make everything an Xbox.
Right. Yeah. That is true. The thing about it for me, in this regard, is like me and Trev so far, the games that are available right now, we played through all of them, like, or all the ones that I have. Like there's Brain Age. I don't have the Brain Age game, so we are Brain Training, whatever it's called now. That one we didn't try. And Game Builder's Garage. Those are the only ones that we didn't have to try. But everything else, we're essentially, I'm going to rank them. Like these are the games so far right now that are worth playing on GameShare. And Captain Toad is incredible on GameShare. That is a W game. Yes, that game is so good on GameShare. It's so good.
That's crazy.
Because Mario, like 3D World, so I tried that and I just assumed that it wouldn't work. Like I assumed 3D World specifically wouldn't work, and I thought it was a Bowser's Fury specific feature, but it does work. Yeah. It just feels terrible because 3D World, even like when everybody does own the game, was like kind of laggy. But now it's like it's the lag of the online multiplayer and the fact that it's the game share, like they're essentially streaming the game. So it's like even worse.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not plugged into your wireless or like directly plugged in and wired in, like there's just no way.
I am. That's the thing. Granted, Trev's not. So that could have been part of it. But from what I heard, like it was laggy for me, but it felt like Mario 3D World, like regular, like 3D World lag, but everybody else was like, this feels terrible and it looks bad. So 3D World specifically was not great on that feature. I say all that to say, I think Donkey Kong Bonanza will most likely do it better. We still don't have a Switch 2 game that utilizes the feature yet. So this will be a good proving ground in that regard too, I think. So now, I mean, we're done with Pauline. I don't think Pauline got anything. Oh, there, you know, like there's lore implications. Like, she's 13.
I mean, I have to jump in here because of what I've been doing for the last 8 years.
Oh yeah, game theory.
The moment I saw that she was a kid, I was like, God damn it. What the hell? What is happening? When is this? Does this mean that this is Donkey Kong? Like my stupid dearest brain just took over.
Dan, I will say, we are the same person. I am so on board. I was in my group chat with my friends like, hey guys, I have a theory. I'm going to sound old right now. I said, oh, teenage Pauline, mayor of New Donk City, mayor of my city as well. Shout out Pauline. That's my mayor. Mayor of New Donk City. She was the shorty that got kidnapped by, I guess, Cranky, right? Cranky Kong?
Yeah. It's the original Donkey Kong who now canonically is Cranky Kong. Yeah.
So I said, let me go theory-wise. I said, what if this is either redemption for that or this is like in the past? It's before it and like Donkey Kong has been framed as being a kidnapper.
That was my two things.
Like,
go for it, Dan.
I'm sitting here going, okay, sure, all right, then maybe we're playing as Cranky Kong or Donkey Kong Jr. Like, okay, sure, that's fine.
Game,
and then Cranky shows up, and I was like, mother.
Yeah, I was like, so what do they do? Are they retelling the story, or is this like
are they retconning the Cranky Kong thing? Or is this like Madame Zeroni? Is it like Donkey Kong? He was cursed, or Cranky Kong? He was cursed. His child, you know, he's not having the best go of it because of what he did, what his dad did to Pauline, and this is how he redeems himself as Pauline's kid, or maybe she gets turned into a kid.
And I was like, is this Pauline's like ancestor? Is this like a child? Like, is this like Pauline Jr. per se, or Pauline the Third? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this?
It's ultimately, when it comes to Mario, Nintendo doesn't care.
Yeah.
They're just like, we're going to put out a good game and we thought this was a good idea. And you're going to like it. Shut up. And I have to kind of go, yeah, I guess you're right.
Absolutely.
Honestly, that's the third option that I feel like might be the case.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to the major theory of every Mario game is actually Mario as an actor. Like it's all a stage play, all a movie, whatever.
Right.
This just kind of solidifies that that's the case. They hired a child actor to play baby Pauline and went, go.
Yeah. Did you guys see the, okay, it's just a little tangent. Did you guys see the discourse about like her voice being like the adult voice as a teenager.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I think it's dumb.
It is. It is wild that we're getting full voice acting in like a Mario adjacent game now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is true. They're
that
not
was
doing
surprising to me.
the Rare Studios Banjo Kazooie like weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like the Mario like, oh, Yahoo.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just like the
Granted,
one word to say
we
7 sentences.
We haven't seen it. We haven't seen it yet, like the full, like actual gameplay. Like they're probably still going to do that, because there's like cutscenes and stuff in Odyssey where certain characters, like Pauline, talks, but not full sentences. You know, like they'll say like 1 or 2 words. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the cutscenes. Maybe it's kind of like Breath of the Wild was. And Tears of the Kingdom.
The only thing that's making me feel like Pauline has full voice lines is them explaining that like to go places she has to sing.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
It's gonna be a song, but like I also believe that she's gonna have different phrases and stuff.
Yeah, she's probably gonna hit the like Donkey Kong, like she's talking to him like he's a Pokemon.
Yeah, this way.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, that's true. So is that all the Pauline stuff, or we still got more thoughts on Pauline?
No, that's all the Pauline. I think the model's adorable.
Yeah,
that's about it.
They fumbled by not putting that in Mario Kart. They fumbled.
Yeah, I will say it's finna happen, y'all. The money prince is happening right now. That's what's going on.
Donkey Kong. All right, so we wrapped up Pauline. The next thing that I think we should probably go into DK's abilities. Like we could talk like general abilities, like we got the sonar, we got the punch, we got the slam, we got the picking dirt off the ground and rocks and stuff. And then we have like this is an RPG essentially. Like you got armor builds, you got skill trees, we
like a good skill tree.
That's a fact.
So what about that stuck out to you guys? Did you guys like look at the like descriptions for that kind of stuff, like the different stores? I was like reading the descriptions.
So for me, the thing that stood out to me is just how weird it is for Donkey Kong to be a zebra and an ostrich, and I'm struggling on to whether I've accepted this into my heart or not.
I'm so confused by that, because when I was first watching it, I was like, oh, so this is going to replace the animal buddies. And then we saw Rambi. So I was like, what? Like, so we transform into animals and also we still have Rambi?
I'm going to say my whimsical heart loves it. I don't understand
I'm so happy.
what's happening. And I feel like I'm looking at it and like, I'm just like, oh, he just turned into like Gear 4 gorilla.
Yeah.
Like that's how
Gear 4 gorilla, you're right.
He's going crazy. Like, and then they're like, he's a zebra. He can run on water. I'm like, oh, okay. Then they're like, he's an ostrich that can fly. I'm like, all right, man. We are doing a lot, and I like it.
Yeah, they went crazy. Also, I think it's cool that you can like switch between, like you don't have to choose. Like you use you like initiate the transformation, and then you could switch between the transformations as long as you have meter left, and that's cool.
Yeah,
and you can increase that meter with the upgrades and stuff like that. But I just thought it was crazy that they like the description for it is like, if you wear these pants, you increase your attack range by 80%.
Oh,
like,
I need
what?
that. I need
this
that.
isn't a Donkey Kong game.
I'm not gonna lie. That's how you catch me with the little like random boost stats. They're like, hey, you could double your attack here. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna make myself invincible somehow.
My only thing with that is like, here's the thing is I love a good like accessory or some sort of thing that you equip and it changes like a little bit on how you play.
Yeah.
But wonder if I just want my Donkey Kong to look a specific way, but I still want those abilities. That's always the problem.
That's
with
what
like,
the fur. I think that's what the
system.
fur is for, because the fur doesn't do anything to your stats, so you can make them whatever color fur you want. But the clothes, they give you specific stats.
Yeah, I mean,
will they have the overskin system? That's what.
Yeah, like Monster Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like I love. I've been really getting into the idea of builds, and I think Expedition 33 was kind of like my.
Oh yes, sir.
Yeah, my eye-opening moment of like, oh, I'm starting to understand how you build something. Like the min-maxing's fun. What, like, if you're ready to just get into the numbers and everything, min-maxing can be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And so like seeing more games embrace that, where like with Donkey Kong, I don't think like the clothes are going to drastically change how quickly or easily the game could be beaten.
Sure.
But I do think it's a fun way for people that want, like, I love supporting the speedrunner community, right? Like giving them like, oh yeah, you need this pants, this tie, and this, and then you can speedrun the rest of the game.
Right.
Like, I like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think
yeah,
the thing is, like, I know me, I'm going to forget this exists. I'm going to get one fit and then I'm never going to touch it again. I might change my fur. But I'm not going to min-max this video game. I'm just going to like break the thing and see what happens when you hit the thing with the other thing. And what happens if I throw the thing at the monster near the thing where the thing interacts with the other thing. I'm not like, yo, I gotta use this stat here, and I gotta min-max this, and I don't care about any of that.
I feel like I'm somewhere in like the middle. Like I feel like I absolutely don't care too much to min-max, but I absolutely will pay attention to make my person as strong as possible. But I also am one of those Hulk Ultimate Destruction kids, man. And it looks like it's back in this game, and I really like it.
I just know I'm going to approach the fits the same way that I did in Mario Kart, where in Mario Kart,
I need the fit I like.
Where I'm like, oh, that's a good fit. I'm gonna use that one because it looks cool, and then I'll use that forever until I find another one that I think looks cooler, and then I'll use that one. And I think that's probably how I'm going to play Donkey Kong, unless I start getting cooked. Like if somehow like the boss battle cooks me, then I'm going to be like, all right, we got to look into the stats, and because like that's in me, you know, like I understand how video games work. But I don't want to get there. I just want my monkey brain to play the monkey game. I don't want to have to think about it.
I mean, to be 100%, honest, like I will find the one like small power up. I'm like, I know this isn't optimal, but I need this for one specific reason, so I'm keeping it.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Like, and I know. Yeah, I know the first thing I'm going to do, especially when it comes to that skill tree, maximum sonar, so I don't miss a goddamn thing.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, that's the way to min-max everything else. Because if you have maximum sonar, then you could get more of the currency to get more stats, so that you can build out your skill tree faster.
I'm about to maximum tunnel vision this one and go straight strength. I'm breaking everything.
I might do the same thing, because you know what, that might get you in the same way. You know what I mean? Like on one hand, it's like you can see it faster, but on the other hand, if you break everything anyway, who cares if I saw it before I broke the thing? You know?
I mean, like, look, if everything's destroyed, I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly, just because this is kind of what the streaming culture is these days, but I can't wait for like Fur or Alpha Rad's video on I went full strength and leveled every single map down to the bare bones for 6 days or whatever.
Or I beat Donkey Kong Bananza without breaking a single thing.
Yeah.
Challenge culture.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
I don't got the patience for that.
Game has potential. I'm going to break everything. I already know myself. I'm breaking everything.
I'm breaking everything as well.
I'm going to break everything just because I'm like, I can't miss a collectible, and Sonar's not telling me anything, but I don't believe Sonar right now. So I'm going to keep digging.
I 100% agree. But that's what I'm saying. I would max out my Sonar and still be like, I think it's something over there.
Yeah, they might be lying to me. And you already know there's probably going to be some material that like you can't Sonar through. So you're gonna have to like either level up your sonar more that's beyond the radius, but like it can detect through this kind of terrain,
right?
So you know,
I just really hope like I think this is one of the most valid criticisms of Mario Odyssey is that there's too many moons.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping, and from what I'm seeing, it seems like it's the right direction, that this doesn't have too many bananas.
So what I'll
Like,
say is I
yeah.
think in Mario Odyssey there's too many moons because the function of the moons is too specific.
Sure.
But in this game, it seems like the more bananas, the better. Because like if they're not using it as a marker for progression, it's not like, oh, you need X amount of bananas to do this thing or whatever. Rather, it's if you have this many bananas, you can upgrade this. You in theory don't need to find all the bananas. And then it's just a
Sure.
bonus thing. On the other hand, it could be like Pokemon where it's like leveling, where some people are like, oh man, it's too easy to level up. But there's other people that are struggling to get past the first gym. So you kind of need it to be more approachable to level up for those people, because the people that think it's too easy to level up could just catch more Pokemon, level up more. There's always a way for the person that wants more challenge to make more challenge for themselves. But the person that is getting walled off will hate the video game for the sake of the try hard wanting to be arbitrarily walled off.
I have one psychopathic take.
Oh,
I didn't think it was enough.
okay.
I didn't think it was enough moons.
That is absolutely psychotic. What are you talking about?
I played that game, got every moon, and was like, I need more.
I think
dude.
They also did that, like they dialed into the like, Zoomer brain, where it's like you can turn the game on and feel like you accomplished something in Mario Odyssey. It's like, all right, I have 5 minutes to play. You're probably going to find a moon in that 5 minutes. I think there's merit to that.
Sure.
I just enjoy. I realize like Super Mario Odyssey was like my 2K, my Madden, my Call of Duty. Like it was like the game that I would play and be like, I just died. I'm mad. I'm gonna play it again.
Yeah, I feel that.
I guess Dan? Okay. So I maybe it's more of a selfish thing than it's just like I'm gonna want to be a completionist for this thing.
I feel that.
I don't want it to take. I want to enjoy Donkey Kong as long as I possibly can.
Feel it.
I don't want it to
self-control, Daniel.
Tedious.
Self-control.
What is control or self-control? Who cares?
Get the amount of bananas that you need to beat the game and leave it at that.
I try, man. I try.
I'm on Dan's side. I'm gonna be real. I will literally be like, "What did I buy this game for? If I just got this minimum amount of bananas, I need to get all of them. I need all of them. I need
feel
most
that.
of them.
I feel
I
that.
need like 90,
but I think to that degree,
bananas.
like for me, right? Like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, the Korok seeds essentially don't exist to me. If I find the ones that I find,
you're right.
Sick.
Yeah.
Cool.
You're right, though.
That I found the Korok seed, but I'm not going out of my way to find the Korok seeds.
I will say though, I think the banana is more in tune with like the Mario stars and the moons than it is with the Korok seeds.
I don't know if I agree with that. Just based on what we've seen, it's given Korok seed. Because the function of the Korok seeds is like you find a certain amount and you can use them to upgrade things. That's what the bananas do. It's like you find X amount of bananas and you get the stat point.
I'm saying that my caveman brain is like, I just need a banana.
That's fair.
Like and with Korok seeds, I don't even know what that is.
It's not a question of functionality. It's a question of quantity because it does seem like there is a decent like quantity amount of bananas and stuff that you can grab for upgrades. Korok seeds, that is too much quantity. That's just too much on the supply side with very little demand.
Exactly. And that's what I like. If they're going to like, I think that for me, at least the amount of moons, I was fine with that. But if they're going to like go in that direction and people don't really like that direction, I think what you do is you pump the supply. You say, oh, okay, you feel pressure to get every moon when there's 400 moons. We'll give you 4,000 so you know that this is not that important. This is not the part of the game we want you to focus on. It's like Pokemon Company shiny locking the starters. It's like, we don't want you hard resetting for the first 3 days that you own this game. Play the game. You'll get a shiny starter later.
I was gonna say, like, even earlier what you said, they absolutely can put as many bananas as possible as long as there's like a gatekeeping system of some sort. That's like, hey, you got 3 bananas and you're trying to pass this boss, maybe you need 15 or maybe you need 10. You know what I'm saying? And then the higher up it goes, it's like there's going to be kind of a, or maybe they shouldn't do that. I don't know. I don't know what the system is, to be honest.
I will say, is it okay to reference chat?
Yeah, you can reference chat.
Avoid
I'm trying to avoid it because we have a whole chat section. But if you think it's going to drive your point forward or whatever, you know.
Well, all right. Well, I'm stealing this from my buddy Kyle here. But like, I will say that like the DK, like each level doesn't look it looks big enough, but it doesn't look like a massive sandbox to find these things in, which I think is super helpful. Whether or not that's true when we dive in, that's to be seen.
I mean, to me, at least, it's given like like the sandboxes are smaller than Mario Odyssey, but there's more of them. Yeah, because the way that they're like from the treehouse, they like reference the worlds as like sub levels. It's like you're on sub level 102, you know, like that kind of thing. And then there's like whatever the gimmick is in that world or the material in that world, and then you complete what you complete, and then you move on to the next thing. I don't know if that's how they're breaking it up. If this is, you know, if the bananas are moons and like they do it to the point where it's like there's X amount of bananas in this sub level. Get all of them, you know, like if that's the case, if it's like if there's 40 sub levels and every sub level has 50 bananas, then it's like, okay, you know. But if there's like 40 sub levels and the bananas are like essentially like procedurally generated, like you can get the bananas, but really this is just a functionality thing, which to me feels more in line with the overall design of the game. Because if their thought process for Donkey Kong is similar to Mario, the challenges for bananas, like if bananas are actually the moon equivalent, moons are more intentional more often than not. Like obviously they have the moons where it's just like, you know, HD Rumble and you find the moon, but for the most part they position moons around platforming challenges and like boss fights and that kind of thing. It seems more like here you can find bananas just underground. And I think that with the knowledge that you can essentially just break everything and then you reset the environment, I don't know how they do that and also make the moons the same in that kind of way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And well, I mean, one thing I'll also say is like, now that I retrospectively like think about it, they did, which I really appreciate, is a list of the collectibles that you can go and take a look at. And as they were scrolling through, I did recall there were a significant less amount than you saw in Odyssey. It looked like it saw like 20 to 25 per, just off the top of my head. Obviously you can go back and count exactly how many moons, but I think like 25 moons or bananas seem to be like roughly where it was hitting. That's doable. I could do 25 bananas.
Good. Especially if you can just break everything.
Yeah.
To find the bananas.
Yeah, I guess the answer is destroy everything, make sure everything is completely leveled out, and then continue on.
Yes, absolutely.
And the question there is like, will that burn you out? Will it stop being fun if that's how you play it?
Maybe, maybe not.
We'll see.
We'll see. Skating on rubble. I'm very interested.
Yeah, they went crazy with the skating, man.
I'm like, I'm about to be doing that a lot and wasting a lot of time.
So wait, okay. Oh, also there's the thing that I was like, oh, that's so stupid. Is in a goofy way. You know, they had the turf surf. It's like you pick up the rubble from the ground and you surf it, and then you can upgrade the turf surf to be surf.
Surf. I thought that was
so
dumb.
stupid.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We on surf timing.
I was like, so stupid.
You know, they came up with turf surf first, and then like, okay, well, wonder if they upgraded to like actually just surf, and they went, well, I guess it's got to be surf, and they all looked at each other and went,
okay. I guess so. I feel like the first guy said surf and turf, and they said, man, We just called it turf surf, man.
Yeah, they.
And then somebody was like surf, and then they was like, that's way better.
I'm the one that groaned at that loudly in the treehouse. I'd be tight. I'm like, oh, this is so stupid. But their whole job is telling puns essentially. So like, whatever.
Yeah.
Fair enough, I guess.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just that, E for all ages sort of naming convention where you have to be like,
that's a fact.
Yeah, fine, I get it. This is how my 5-year-old will understand.
Absolutely.
Yo, I'm about to get out of here. This was lovely.
Okay, Colton. Thanks for
you,
AJ.
Bye. I'm gonna catch y'all.
Sure thing.
Later.
All right, so I think we touched on everything about the Donkey Kong abilities. We touched on Pauline. We touched on Animal Buddies a little bit. There's Rambi. We touched on the transformations. We didn't really talk about like Voidco. Voidco, like, what's up with that? Why are they Kongs? That's crazy. Are they betraying us? Are they being controlled? Or like the fact that they're Kongs, does that not mean that they're related? Because I assume that if you're a Kong, you're related.
I honestly, I was a little confused on that aspect too, but wasn't like the GameCube's like the Bongo game wasn't most of the enemies also Kongs on that one? Maybe I'm wrong. I didn't play that one.
I just
remember that you
like
also did fight other.
No?
Well, you fought other gorillas, didn't you?
Now I gotta look that up. DK.
Hold on.
Bongo enemies.
Yeah, and look, every single family has that one person you're like, oh, this fucking guy.
There's Tiki enemies. DK Bongos, Bongo appeared to franchise. DK Bongo characters.
DK Bongo bosses.
Here, there's Kongs in the game. There's Calypso, who is
There's Karate Kong, Ghastly Kong, Ninja Kong,
Wrinkly Kong. That's a bad guy?
It's supposed, yeah, it looks like it.
That's crazy. They just they messed the game up. So Kongs are good and bad? That's wild.
I think Kong is
it's like a tribe? And they're the bad guys from the tribe?
Long ago, the Kong tribe fell into civil war.
Yeah, it's Kong Civil War, man.
I mean, it's the same sort of thing with like, why is Pauline a child in this one? And you just kind of have to go like, oh,
yeah,
because
fair
whatever.
Enough. I can't see a world where this isn't them being like, and that's how Donkey Kong happened, like I can, like, the secondary thing in my head is they do the whole like Zeroni thing where it's like, oh, you broke the curse because you carried her great grandson up the mountain, and that's what it is.
I'm waiting for it to be like Pauline Jr. or Pauline the Third. But like I do find it funny that like even Nintendo is not safe from the corporation needs to be evil trope that's been going around. Mm-hmm. Like, what is it? The Void Company or whatever.
Voidco. Like, and they did that relatively recently too with Grizzco in Splatoon.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's just so funny to see the, like, because when I saw them, I'm like, oh, those are the bad guys, and they're like Voidco, and I was like, oh. So they're even on the whole capitalism.
I mean,
enemies.
For what it's worth, and we can avoid this rabbit hole, but for what it's worth, as far as corporations are concerned, they're very pro-employee. Their employees like working there.
Yeah.
They're big on work-life balance. They're big on like retaining their staff and all the other good old stuff. So like, it doesn't shock me that they have a narrative like that and they let that fly.
Yeah. But like, I mean, other than that, as far as like wrap up on Donkey Kong, like the game looks fun as hell.
It looks so good. How did you feel? So how did you feel about Donkey Kong before the Direct? Like Donkey Kong Bananza, was it?
One of my things is whenever there's sort of stuff like that is super sandboxy and like the idea that you can break your way into anything and there can be collectibles anywhere. Like that stuff kind of raises my anxiety just because I know then I'm going to be spending so much time sitting and breaking something that's not going to matter. But the fact that they put together a skill set that allows you to not waste your time doing something you shouldn't be doing and help you collect stuff more efficiently, I'm like absolutely in. 100% love this. I'm excited to play this.
I was in the moment they said 3D Donkey Kong. And the thing that's funny is like we made a video on Redirect like going on 2 years now. And you know, every once in a while I'm like, yo, wouldn't it be sick if they did this with this franchise? And this game is basically that. Like in a lot of ways they did almost exactly what we said they should do. The only other shoe that we're waiting for it to drop is for this game to retroactively explain the world, because in our video it was, and this is why it's New Donk City, and this is how Pauline became the mayor, and so on and so forth. It's like, is this game going to do that, or is this game going to be like, and this is why the arcade game is blah blah blah, you know? But either way, they kind of went in that same direction. I think the only thing that we doubled down on in the video that they don't seem to be doubling down on is we double down on the Kong situation. Like you play as Diddy Kong as well, and like that kind of thing. It doesn't seem like you're going to be doing that. But a lot of the other stuff, I feel like we nailed it. Like,
yeah, and I mean, one of the things that I feel very positive about this is that Nintendo's always been pretty good about showing you just enough where there's still enough surprises and fun things to dive into that like captures the spectacle and the wonder of like a Nintendo game.
Right.
And they showed a lot for this, which makes me think that there's a lot they're still not showing. Yeah.
I still think it's crazy that they I mean, I get it. As somebody that has a marketing degree, fair that you want Pauline on the box. But I think it's crazy that they even set up the Odd Rock thing if they were going to reveal that it's Pauline before the game comes out. I think that's nuts. Like, why even do that?
I mean, honestly, I think there was a way to do this where they could have hid Pauline from this, still got the points across. I'm a little disappointed, but it also makes me think that it obviously happens within the first 10 minutes of the game. So
yeah,
there's something more we're not seeing here.
Right.
That's what I'm excited to find.
I also we see Diddy Kong. We saw him.
We saw Diddy Kong. We saw Trixie.
I uttered into the void that I was going to riot if there was no Diddy Kong, because they've been erasing my boy. That brother's not in Mario Kart, which I'm upset about. He wasn't in the last Mario Kart until I was already sick of playing it, which I'm still upset about. So them not putting him in this game would have been crazy. But we see him.
That would have been insane.
The question is, what's going on? Is he like an assist trophy? He helps us in like certain boss fight, because like Dixie and Diddy, they pulled up on Rambi. We had our Rhino, they had their Rhino. What's up with that?
I think they're going to appear in those ancient temples more often than not as kind of like guides, I guess.
Yeah.
Diddy Kong Quest is the best Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
And it's just upsetting to see like one of the best kart racers that's ever come out, Diddy Kong Racing. Why are we sidelining
out the woodwork?
The GOAT.
I agree. Diddy Kong is my GOAT. I used to, as a kid, the first cognizant moment of me playing a video game is I used to play Donkey Kong Country with my mom and my sister, and I always wanted to be Diddy Kong. You know, so like there's the whole thing of like, you're the kid, you're the younger sibling, so like you have to be Tails. No, I wanted to be Diddy Kong. I refused to be Donkey Kong. I was like, I don't want to be, he's all big and lumbering. I want to be, he's the kid. I'm a kid. Let me be the kid. So I was Diddy Kong.
I would always prefer playing as Diddy Kong in the original Donkey Kong, because it feels more nimble, and it doesn't feel like, there's something to be said about how big Donkey Kong is in Donkey Kong Country. Like, it just feels kind of like I'm working with more. Diddy Kong seems streamlined.
Yeah, you just feel so heavy. You have the weight of the world.
Yes.
And I want to be free.
I want to be free. I don't want to worry about things.
Yeah.
That's Diddy Kong. Donkey Kong's got too much to worry about, you know?
Be the small monkey child with the funny hat that they changed. But actually, they did a good job with the Diddy Kong redesign. I was a little worried about that for a second. I was like, wait, is he going to be Diddy Kong? Because like the whole thing with the Donkey Kong redesign is like, we're reclaiming him. He's not a rare character. He's a Nintendo character. So we're going to make him look more like the Nintendo design. But I was like, wait, Diddy Kong is literally a rare character. So how did you reclaim that? And they just kind of didn't.
I will say that like I've really come to enjoy the DK redesign.
I like it so much more. I'm going to be real. I always did.
He is so much more expressive.
Yeah. Yes.
And he feels more Nintendo now. Mm-hmm. That like it's weird to say because I'm so used to Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong, but like he's so much more expressive. It feels more in line with like his roots. It just works better.
I think so. Like before, I don't know a better side of the before analogy, but he gives Goku now to me, where like Goku, they're good at selling him when he's happy and when he's angry. But Rare DK, him being happy is just like it just always gave off doofy. Like he just looks stupid. But this Donkey Kong, he just looks like a cool, chill guy, man. Like that brother, he's just here to enjoy life. And if you get him mad, he can be angry too.
Well, and when he needs to be a goofy Nintendo character, he can be a goofy Nintendo character without it being too much work.
It's like Donkey Kong Country Donkey Kong, I laugh at. Donkey Kong Bananza Donkey Kong, I laugh with. That's how I feel about the two.
That's fair. I mean, like, there will always be a soft spot for me when it comes to the original, not the original, but like Donkey Kong Country design, that's like fair. The rare version. Like, I'll always have a soft spot for it. But like, I've come to really enjoy this redesign. I think it fits what they needed him to be able to do in this new game.
Mm-hmm. I think it also just makes him a better like mascot character. Cause like Donkey Kong plushies, they look stupid to me. But now it's like so much easier to nail his eyes because of the changes that they made.
Yeah, and like I mean, the fact that it just defaults to looking angry all the time is a very 90s edgy sort of vibe. Yep. So it feels nice to kind of relinquish that for something a bit softer for a game that's supposed to be a bit softer.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, that's Donkey Kong. We could talk general Switch 2 stuff. Now, I haven't talked to you about Switch 2 at all. I was like, I had to think about if you even had a Switch 2. I was like, oh, wait, but yeah, he did I saw that he got the pre-order, and I'm pretty sure I saw you online on Mario Kart at some point in time. So, like, he got one. Thoughts, man? What do you think about the Switch 2?
I mean, first off, like, as far as a release title goes, like I get why they picked Mario Kart. Mm-hmm. I think it has the most like longevity. You're going to be playing Mario Kart anytime you have friends over. Mm-hmm. And honestly, while I think the track selection can be very confusing, I think this is the most fun I've had playing Mario Kart in quite a while.
This is the first Donkey Kong game I have first Mario Kart game I have wanted to play since the original Mario Kart 8 on Wii U, and that didn't even last that long. Because I put 400 hours into Mario Kart on Wii U, and I was like, okay, I had my time with this game. And then they did Deluxe, and from rip, I was like, I don't want to play this game. I'm going to buy it because I know that this is a game that everybody, it's a default game. It's like people that aren't like gamers, they still know Mario Kart. That's the game that they know. There's like
Yeah.
4 games that they're going to be able to list, and that's one of them, regardless of who you are. So you got to have it. But I never wanted to play. And like, you've been here at 1 or 2 streams where it's like, okay, we're playing Mario Kart because that's what Bob wants to play or whatever. And I don't want to be here, but I'm here. I'm here for the vibes, but I don't want to play the game. And even Bob doesn't even really like Mario Kart, but he still doesn't like Mario Kart. He's not the Mario Kart guy. I like Mario Kart. I just was tired of the one that we had, and I'm so glad that we have a new one. Like I was fighting the good fight. I was actively telling people to stop buying Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They sold enough. They don't need to sell 70 million copies. We were good
insane.
40 million copies ago. I think selling 20 million copies of a port is more than enough. But then they upped it 3 times. Like, y'all gotta chill. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense on that end, but I feel you. It's like, it's a weird launch title. It's something that like it needed to come out early for Nintendo's books, but for us as people that are like early adopters and like the kind of thing that like they usually pair with an early adopter adjacent console, it's usually a thing that's like you can, you know, like really dig your teeth into this console and know what it's for and what it does and what we plan to do with it. You know, the Breath of the Wilds of the world that set the tone. I don't know if Mario Kart World sets the tone. I think it's the best Mario Kart in my opinion, but
oh, absolutely,
it doesn't really say like, okay, this is why you get a Switch 2, you know.
Yeah, that's been the tricky part, because like I know a lot of people, like a very common complaint right now is that there's not enough launch titles, and I think a lot of people forget how weak the Switch launch.
I think people forget how every launch ever is. Every launch ever is bad. All of them. Yeah, it's because all of them do the same thing. It's like, we have a general like stable of games that we plan to release, and that's what they sell you on. But the game that you get day and date is like, you get Mario World and that's it. You get Mario 64 and that's it.
Yeah,
you get Smash
like,
Melee.
Like,
that's it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like one of these things where I'm like, yes, I will confidently say that Breath of the Wild was a better launch title than Mario Kart, because Breath of the Wild was an easy 100 hours.
Right. If
you really want to dive in. And Mario Kart, it has been a lot of fun, but I have done all the trophy runs. I don't feel like unlocking like the 300 plus stickers.
You get mirror mode.
I think
you get mirror mode.
I still need to go back and do that.
You gotta get the mirror mode, man.
Yeah,
that's when I felt like I beat the game. I was like, all right, I got mirror mode. GG's. I'm still gonna play it, but
yeah. And I think it's just one of those things where you just kind of have to go like, yeah. The benefit it definitely has, that I think the Switch 2 had over some other console launches, is, you know, obviously backwards compatibility is always going to be a plus for a console, but, you know, they upgraded some titles just enough where you might go, it might be worth going back and playing it. Like I definitely booted up Breath of the Wild because I wanted to see what it was looking like, and the frame rate was jarring at first. I love it. But then the idea that like I can just have my phone open and just plug in like, okay, I want to get this shrine, this whatever, these things that I missed, I can just go do that now.
Yeah.
So I think that like with a weak lineup, I think having those small little updates to make the experience of games that were great before just a little bit more fun to go back to is a good move.
I think it's really good for again, to go back a little bit with the social gaming thing. Another thing that's big for me is I'm big on games that are like, they're evergreen. Like you're playing this the Smash Brothers games, you know, Pokemon is like that in a lot of ways. I'm playing Smash Brothers anyway. So the fact that the loading screens are way shorter, the fact that I don't have to wait for the different alt pictures to load in when I'm changing my character skin, that's so sick. Like I have the back buttons that I can map and go crazy with. I love that. On the other hand, go for it, Dan. Go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just as a quick side note, I am really digging the new Pro controller. I think they did a great job with it.
It's so good. Yeah. It's so good. The analog sticks. I was talking to Lee about this. This is something that I didn't even think about before. But it's so much easier to make like minute directional inputs compared to any analog stick that I've ever used in my life.
It just feels like a better constructed controller.
Yeah.
Not much has changed, but it's just better.
The analog sticks they have so much less friction. Like every analog stick ever, like with the N64 being like the most extreme example, has a whole bunch of like friction and snapback. This controller has almost none. So it's just like it glides when you're using it. So it's so much easier to just like Smash Brothers and say, I'm just gonna step 2 steps forward and stand there and look at you and see what happens. And I gauge like, oh, you're getting a little bit too close. All right, I'm going to step back 4 steps. You know, like that's so much harder to do. You have to think about doing that in like Smash Ultimate with the regular Pro controller. But it was just back like subconsciously I'm doing that in with the new Pro controller, and it feels so good. I know people are like the D-pad is a problem with the original Pro controller, and from what I'm seeing is like it's better, but it doesn't solve the problem for them. I never played a game that relied on the D-pad enough for me to realize that people think it's bad. But even that is better. The controller, it's like the texture of the controller, it feels better to hold. Like they improved everything that they could have about that controller, at least a little bit.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about it. This is a really weird comparison, but them building that controller is very much like how you should approach editing, where it's just like the changes are so subtle that you're just like, this just feels better.
Yeah.
Just like this just does the thing.
It's the kind of thing that's like, well, of course, you know?
Yeah.
They didn't do anything super extra. They just updated all of the things. They're like, yo, we already landed. We did it. We did the job. Now let's just show up and do the job better this time. Like, and that's all you needed to do. They didn't need to reinvent the wheel. We did like before Switch. And I think that the Switch was a cutting off point for them in a lot of ways in this kind of thinking. It almost feels like they're like chasing their own tail, and a lot of that is because of the trajectory of the home consoles, like commercially, because the first thing came out and it was the NES, and then it was like, oh, okay, cool, and then they did the SNES, and that sold a little bit worse, but it was, you know, it was still good. It was still did all right. And then they did N64, and it's like, oh, hold on, we're failing, and then they did GameCube, and they're like, oh, we're super failing. And then Wii was like, oh, this is quick, you know, it's success again, so let's try to reinvent the wheel again, and then they failed again. So it's like, oh wait, no, all right, we got to figure out something that works, and then once we figure out what works, we build off that foundation. Like the Switch 2 is that. It's like, it's Switch, but we still got the quirky stuff in there. We still got mouse controls. You know, we improved the motion controls, actually, you know, like that kind of thing. We improved HD Rumble. So like they still got the quirky, goofy, silly stuff that they like to do, which I appreciate them for. It stops gaming from being a monolith and everybody being like, I too am a PC. And it, you know, just keeps things fun and fresh, and gives them, like, the people that are like, I too am a PC, their quirky ideas. Because Sony's like, oh yeah, I too am a PC, but I have HD Rumble as well, and I have adaptive triggers also. You don't have that. You know, every fun idea that is in the gaming industry started with Nintendo, and if they're not the ones doing the crazy stuff, literally nobody will. And everything will just be homogenous, and I think that would be boring. I'm glad Switch 2 swerved on that and kept it.
Yeah, I will say the one initially I was a little disappointed. I was like, I really wish the Switch 2 would have done something a little bit like more groundbreaking. Yeah. But I think it speaks a lot for when you tried the mouse controls for the first time, and you're like, oh my God, so this feels. Because I was expecting a kind of mouse experience. Like it was almost there.
Right.
But it's a mouse.
Yeah, it's a mouse.
It's just a mouse.
It's literally
and that's
just a
crazy.
Mouse. Yeah, it's insane. It's insane how well it works. And I'm excited to see what they do where it's like, it's not just a mouse. Because it's not. Like regular mouses. I don't know if the plural for mouse, the accessory is the same plural for the animal. But either way,
mices.
yeah, those things, they don't have motion controls, like,
Yeah.
what do you do with that? And you already, well, obviously we have drag and drive. That's going to show an example of like what that looks like to like combine those two things. But even just like the whole thing of like a big reason why I personally do not like PC gaming. And there's multiple things I don't like about it. But the thing I don't like, and gaming on a computer, period, it's not even a Windows versus Mac thing, is the experience of keyboard and mouse. I think keyboard is stupid and it doesn't feel intuitive at all. But a mouse does. So having the Joy-Con have a mouse, it combines the best of both worlds, where it's like I have the buttons and the movement of a controller, but I have the like accuracy of a mouse. W.
I am excited to play first-person shooters and third-person shooters again.
Same.
On a console for the first time in a long time.
I don't even like shooters, and the mouse mode makes me want to play shooters. I played Fortnite with Bob on stream because I was like, yeah, I want to try this mouse mode. And then when I was trying, I was like, yeah, I need Marvel Rivals on here.
Oh, absolutely.
I need
it. It's the obvious next step.
Yeah, I need it. I needed it before, but now that I know that I like the mouse mode, it's I'm playing on Switch too.
Like, so I just spent a couple days reorganizing my downstairs entertainment area, because one of the things that really bothers me is when I want to do PC gaming, I have to be up in my office. And when you're up in your office, editing and writing all day, it all blends together and it just doesn't feel great. And so I was like, well, I have my extra
PC. That's part of why I don't like doing it, for the record.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I brought my old PC down there. I hooked it up. I was like, great. Now I can play Marvel Rivals on my TV on a couch and feel a little bit more like I'm away from work. And then I tried the mouse mode. And I'm like, I guess I just need everything on Switch too. Yeah. And I think I'm fine.
That's where I'm at.
That's crazy to me.
That's where I'm at. And it's such a dumb, because like the thing is, I think a lot of people, like, for a long time, they're like fighting for third party support because it's like, man, I really want to, consolidate my gaming time, and like I want to be able to have everything on one thing because it's just easier to have everything on one thing. But for me, it's like I don't even play enough third party. I play just enough third party games where to me I can justify in my head to buy the other consoles, but I don't play enough to feel like I'm jumping around too much. You know what I mean? But retroactively, I'm like, oh wait, it is really cool for me specifically, and I know that this is not a first world problem, but the opposite of that. I'm like, yo, it's so much easier to get games for free if it's on the Nintendo Switch because I have a Nintendo channel. It's so much harder for me to be like, yo, I know I don't talk about this console, but I'm interested in this game and I could find a way to talk about it. Can I have it? Because it usually doesn't work. But if it's on Switch, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna get it. So that's gonna increase the amount of third-party games I play as well, just off the strength of that. Like, I want to do whole series where I'm gonna lock in on Call of Duty, and I'm gonna try to get good at Call of Duty, and I'm like Nintendo fan locks in on Call of Duty for the first time. Same thing with Madden and 2K and like all the games that are like not common on Switch or Nintendo platforms in general. I want to make a video about trying to get good at all of them.
That would be great. Honestly, it's something I'm thinking too, and hence why I started hitting you up about like the Smash stuff. Is like I've been wanting to do like a series of like each month I pick one game and I try to get like coaching from people that are especially good at the game to see how much improvement.
Let's trade off. So you
train
you train me in first person shooters. I train you in Smash.
Maybe.
Okay.
Look, here's the thing. Is like, I like to consider myself a pretty fucking good healer on Marvel Rivals.
Okay. All right.
Like, I feel like a pretty exceptional there. If I have the right team, I think I could hit Grandmaster.
Gotcha.
Pretty confidently. But for me, it's like, I'm going to teach you how to play Binding of Isaac and never lose a single run.
Okay, yeah. You could do that because I'm not good at, roguelikes and that kind of thing. They don't stick with me. I don't know what it is.
I love them.
I'm down for that deep dive. I'm down for it. But I'm actually pretty good at Marvel Rivals. I be top fragging, man. I be getting 40 plus.
Oh yeah, we'd love to see that.
Yeah, I be wilding. But yeah, no, we gotta play more games. We gotta stream. We don't do anything anymore. What the heck?
Well, I mean, to be 100% fair,
You're busy. You're a busy man.
No, I fell into the FNAF hole.
Oh yeah, that's also true. Yeah.
That was ultimately the biggest issue that I was running into, is that if I wasn't covering a FNAF fan game of any sort, like, why was I doing anything at all? And I was like, I can't do shit with Bob and AJ anymore. Because I'm not going to drag them to. We
refuse vehemently.
Yeah, I'm not going to have you play Five Nights at Mario's. You don't need that. But now, like, I'm really starting to finally separate myself fully from that thing, and now I'm like ready to get back to, just playing like Smash Bros and Mario Kart and the games that I actually love to play, and not this game that I'm forced to. A new FNAF game just came out, and I have barely engaged with it at all. And
it's funny that you say barely. Like, you're still not there yet. Yeah. You're still not, like, I didn't even look at it.
Look, at this point in time, I have too many friends that are in the FNAF YouTuber universe. So it's like, I'm going to always have secondhand, and I'm very happy for them. Congratulations to them on Secret of the Mimic. I hope it brings them joy and happiness. But also, I will not engage with that because it brings me pain and misery.
I feel that in my heart and soul. Even though, like, that's how I feel about Pokemon, but it's not how I feel about Pokemon. If that makes sense. Like, I love Pokemon, but
that makes more sense than you think it does.
Yes, because I love Pokemon. I just hate its form. I think that like it outgrew what it is in 2001. Like the second where they could have like made the game feel like it looks like in every other form that it's in, they should have did that. But they're like, nah, we can't not be Pokemon Red. That game sold 40 million copies, man.
Right.
That's why I'm so excited for ZA. I need ZA, and I hope they like stick the landing, and I hope they nuke their battle system forever. I don't even necessarily need it to be an action game. I just think that like that's the easiest way to make the game still have a similar value proposition where it can be a competitive game but also a casual game, and it can appeal to everybody. Like, that's just the easiest way to do it. All the biggest games are action based RPG. Like, it succeeds in spite of the fact that it's an RPG, not because it's an RPG.
Right. Well, so I know for a fact, because I don't know if you've touched it yet, but I do remember you specifically commenting on Twitter about me playing some more nerd shit with Expedition 33. But like, that game did such a great job showing that turn-based gameplay doesn't have to be boring, or it doesn't have to be so like you hit and then they hit. And like Mario RPG had like done that in the past. Most of the Mario games have some sort of like way to engage with it. But no one really touches too much with how do you make defending against the bad guys more engaging. And that's what Expedition 33 did so well, was just being able to be like, hey, it's the enemy's turn, but you're not defenseless. It is up to you on how much damage you're about to take.
That's the thing. This is all framing, because to me, as somebody that plays like a lot of fighting games and action-based games, to me, that's just not a turn-based game. Because like, in fighting games, you are taking turns. And you'll see this when we do the Smash Brothers deep dive. So much of it is like gauging when you're allowed to take your turn. But that's the thing. You get to choose, like you get to exert your will on when you get to take your turn. And that's like, I think that's the separation here. Where like in turn-based games, traditionally, turn-based games, you're like arbitrarily walled off from engaging with the game because the game dictates that that's just what it is, because that's what it is. It doesn't contribute to the game design. It doesn't make the game any more actually interesting or complicated. It just is what it is because it is what it is. The thing that a lot of Pokemon fans like, and I'm talking about like deep into the VGC rabbit hole, they're like, you can't do competitive if it's not turn-based, because what about strategy? And I'm like, as somebody that plays both, like that understands on a very deep level, and this is a big reason why I hate it, VGC, it's rock, paper, scissors with more steps. That's all it is. It's just literally rock, paper, scissors. But
Yes.
In fighting games and other action games and stuff like that, you're making all those same decisions, but it's more strategic because you have to do it on a dime. And there's also like there's both more ways to solve a problem, but there's more problems by virtue of that in an action-based game, where it's like my best case scenario is it's kind of like Kingdom Hearts, where like it's still an RPG at its core, where like stats matter and like what attack you pick matters and all that other kind of stuff, but you can still like, you know, be like, just be better, you know what I mean? Like I can outplay you. And in Smash Brothers, like I can use the worst character in the video game, and because my execution is just better than most people, I'm still going to be able to win because of execution. On the other end, I can just discard execution altogether and just say, I'm only going to dash attack you. That's all I'm going to do, and I'm still going to win because I understand the strategy of the game more than most people do. That's really what I want for Pokemon and what I hope we get in ZA.
Yeah, I like, here's the thing is like, I think turn-based games in early days, like we're talking like Super Nintendo, early PlayStation, where it is like you go, they go, we go, they go, was a great way to like feel like you were doing cool stuff. And like it felt a little bit more like chess in a way.
It's
but
painting
like
a picture of a world that they couldn't do in gameplay at that time.
Yes. And I think the biggest issue right now is like just doing that kind of turn based, like you need like, it just doesn't work without more layers and pieces to it. And Pokemon just feels like it just didn't really want to add the extra layers. Like, sure, like you could do like Mega Evolutions and
but
Dynamax and like, but
it's like
that's
barely an extra
gimmick.
level. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a gimmick. That's not a layer to the strategy.
Right.
And so like that's the one thing that Pokemon has been missing is like, what is that extra layer on top of this that makes it feel more engaging rather than just like, oh yeah, I beefed this guy up all the way. This is going to carry me to this gym because that's going to be strong against all these
Hearts,
Pokemon.
Man. That's the only way.
Yeah,
it's the only way. Or the Final Fantasy VII remake, like that battle system, they do that. Because like if you look at it in every other medium, and like the manga, and the anime and the movies and all this stuff, it's not like Pikachu Thunderbolt. All right, your turn. Rock throw. Yeah. Your turn. You know, it's like, no, Pikachu Thunderbolt and jump off of this thing and grab that and do this thing. You know, like you can't achieve that by like making it menus. You know, like it flattens the world arbitrarily. Whereas like when it first came out, you needed that because the only way you can illustrate a world like that is in that kind of way, and you let people fill in the blanks in their head. But now you can compare it to games that do actually illustrate the world that they're trying to paint you the picture of, but instead of giving you an HD image, they're like, yeah, but it's retro if you look at it, you know, on this on this Polaroid, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want it to be retro. I want it to be the biggest franchise in the world because that's what it is. Like,
yeah, and that's why I think games like you know, as rough as the fandom can be, games like Deltarune and like Expedition 33 are important because they show that like, yes, there is this level of like your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, but there is, it's your turn, but I can counter this.
Yeah.
It's your turn, but you can counter this. Like there's a tit for tat rather than just like take my punch and deal with it.
Right.
And there's very few games that like it's just harder to do a turn-based game in 2025 than it's ever been, just because it's so hard to keep it engaging.
We outgrew it.
Yeah.
It's a genre that existed to solve a problem. That problem no longer exists. So now they're trying to solve the problem backwards, where it's like, oh, well, we introduced this genre that people started to love in spite of itself. So there's still a desire for this because people grew to love the thing that we did as a means to an end. what do we do now? You know, do we keep making it or do we just move on? And it's really just become like a boutique industry almost. It's like movie theaters.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, it requires an extra level of evolution within that
Right.
style.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
how do we modernize this?
Yeah, and the thing is like, I know Baldur's Gate 3 is very much your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. But the one thing that it did very well was it's your turn. Do whatever the hell you want.
Oh, that's another game that
battle.
we could play. I was supposed to play that with Colton. The initial deal was if it goes on Game Pass, I'll play it. But now if it goes to Switch 2 and or if it goes on Game Pass, I'll play it.
Okay, down. I could see it. I could see it running on
I think
Switch
it's
2. It ran on this
on Switch 2. If Cyberpunk 2077 works on Switch 2, they can get this game to work on Switch 2.
Absolutely. I mean, it works on the Steam Deck just fine. Yeah, so I do not see a way it won't.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think there's anything else that we need to touch on as far as Switch 2 specifically is concerned. Is there anything that you're like, so is your most anticipated Switch 2 game right now Donkey Kong Bonanza, or you have something that you're more excited for?
I mean, Metroid Prime is the one that I'm really, really looking forward to.
Yeah, you know, like, the strat. You know the strat for that. You know what I'm doing for that game.
What are you doing for that game?
I'm getting vouchers, and I'm gonna upgrade it with the voucher because the vouchers still work on Switch 1 games. So
yeah,
I already got the voucher for Pokemon Legends EA.
That was you know, we were talking previously about like Nintendo not dropping their prices, and I'm like, that's kind of why they introduced the vouchers.
Yeah.
As kind of that way to be like,
and that's the thing.
2 for 1.
That's the thing that illustrates exactly what I'm talking about, because they introduced the vouchers when they felt like they could sell more of the game without also devaluing the product. Like the game still costs the same amount. It still costs the same amount of money. But if you give them money in other avenues that they want to grow, you know, they want to grow their online ecosystem, because that's where the real money is. If you look at PlayStation and Xbox's revenue, it's all in the subscription service. So if they're like, okay, we got you in the door by the subscription service, you can get $20 off your game if you buy this voucher system. That's what they do. Yep. And now that they have Switch 2 and they have people in the door with online and they have other ways to get you in the door on online, they're like, you know, we don't really need vouchers anymore. So they phase them out until they need them again, just like they used to do with Nintendo Selects. So
yeah,
that's just what it is. That's just how they think.
That's going to be the one thing that's going to be very important for people that own the Switch 2 that want to tell Nintendo how they want, you know, because like, it is, you know, just like they want you to pay more for their games. It's a very capitalistic thing. And it's like the way you want to tell them, like, I want cheaper things.
Don't buy it.
Is like these, don't buy it. Wait for these vouchers. Like the voucher system was the way to get 2 games for $50 a piece.
Yeah. I think so. That's my biggest thing with this discourse, because genuinely, and I've made multiple videos and I've sincerely mean this. If you don't think a game is worth the money, don't buy the game. And I mean at all. I don't mean wait until it goes used, because that's still a sell that, like, that's an unaccounted for unit in the marketplace. That's something that they're like, oh, okay, people are still not like tired of this game, because anecdotally all they can see is there's no used market. You know what I mean? Like if people are selling the game used and people are buying up these used copies, that says to them that demand is being met and people are happy with their purchase. Because that's usually the case with Nintendo games. And that's why a lot of times even like secondhand Nintendo games are very expensive, because people buy Nintendo games at launch for full price and then they keep them forever. So like, I mean, we can say till we're blue in the face that X game's not worth X amount of money, but if we buy that, if we pay for it for that amount of money, it is worth that much money. It just is.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I get it. It's super hard, and
it's not though. If it's actually not worth it, if it's not worth it, just don't buy it. You know how many times I'm like, and I'm a Nintendo guy. I can literally make money for buying a Nintendo game. But there's Nintendo games that like Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. I was like, that's not worth $60. And you know what I did? I didn't buy the video game. I could have made that money back.
Okay, but you gotta let me let me finish my point here.
Go for it.
It's like here's the thing. FOMO is a very powerful tool that a lot of people or like a lot of companies are using.
Yes.
It's why the Switch 2 like sold as many units as it did. Is like, you don't want to be the guy that didn't get a Switch 2 pre-order. Like, you know, they're banking on that.
So that's,
and so to a degree, to a degree.
Yeah. I was just going to say it's definitely true, but that's always been true. Like, they tried doing FOMO with Wii U and it wasn't worth the money. So people didn't buy it, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
and
that's really
I mean,
what it is for me.
Yeah. But like, the thing is that creator culture is so much stronger now than it was when the Wii U was out. And, you know, you see your favorite creator play it and you go, oh my God, that looks a lot of fun. I don't want to watch the rest of this. And then like, there are many ways that utilize this. And the thing is like, us as content creators, there are going to be games that like Mario Kart. Yeah, I got the bundle, so I only technically spent $50 on it. But there are going to be creators that are going to like, I got the regular one. I need to have Mario Kart World because I need to be able to stream it and create content. Yeah. And it's got to be one of these things you got to remember is like, us buying it is just different than a normal consumer buying it.
For sure. But that's what I'm saying.
Our industry runs like that.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, and you know me, we've had this conversation multiple times where it's like, if I don't like something, I'm not making a video about it because I rather like, I'd probably make a lot of money if I made the video that's like, I'm buying Donkey Kong and this game sucks and it's not worth $60 and I'm angry about that. I could probably make tons of money doing that, but that's just not genuine to me. I'd rather focus on the things that I do want to play. So that's what I do. So the games that I don't think are worth my money, I don't buy. Regardless of like, oh, well, there's no other new game to play that month or what. I don't care. If the game's not worth the money to me, it's not worth the money. I'm not going to spend it. And on the other hand, even in creator culture, I think there's a lot of games that have come out and we brushed on the 1-2 Switch. And everybody 1-2 Switch is a bigger example that despite creator culture, people still said, nah, I don't want that game. Because that was like Smosh, for instance. Smosh played everybody 1-2 Switch multiple times, and they very clearly loved that game. It still flopped. I think every video they did for everybody 1-2 Switch has over 1 million views. It still flopped, and it's not even a $60 game. So if the game isn't worth it to the market, it doesn't really matter what creators say or how many videos there are of it. If people don't want it, people don't want it.
Yeah, yes. And like.
And I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying. It's the kind of thing, again, where like it's explaining the problem backward to me. Because like, if I feel like a game's not worth, like I see a lot of people being like, Mario Kart, like I bought Mario Kart World for $80 and I don't think it's worth $80. And I'm like, yo, return it. If it's not worth $80, return the game. Buy the Switch 2 later. If you bought the Switch 2 for a game that you don't think the game is that Switch 2 is worth it, and it's the only thing that you think there is to play on the Switch, why buy it? People trying to like excuse or like explain away like ARM's success to be like, well, there's nothing else to play. There was nothing that people wanted to play when the Wii U came out, and you know what happened? It flopped. But ARMS succeeded because it was a game that people wanted to play. You know what I mean? Like,
I just bring up the part that makes it difficult and why I can see FOMO. People going, but it is one of those things that, as you're saying, is like, we have to stay strong on that because it is a corporation. The only thing that the way that they dictate anything is their pocketbook. Yeah. It's money. And so, you know, there's a lot, we always say, vote with your wallet, with your wallet. And it's one of these things, you can love Nintendo, but also go, no, this is BS. I don't want this. Yeah. Like, because that's the thing. You can do both.
From again, like I said earlier, for me, I don't think about it from the standpoint of like, I'm a Nintendo fan. I love Nintendo. When I'm saying this is me saying like, I don't expect much from any corporation ever. I expect them to be a corporation. So them charging X amount of price, I don't have any emotional attachment to that. To me, I don't even register it as like, this is BS. To me, it's just like, that game's not worth it. I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't got to feel attacked or angry or anything like that, that the game costs what the game costs, because every company is going to do that in that position. They're all going to do it. And I don't have the time in the day, the energy in my soul to complain about every company that comes out with a game that I kind of want a little bit, but they charge more than I want to pay for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
mean,
it's just easier to be like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to ignore this game.
It's the thing that we need to really start driving home, is the idea that like Nintendo doesn't hate gamers, Xbox doesn't hate gamers, PlayStation doesn't hate gamers.
And conversely, they don't love you either. They're a corporation. Yeah.
They're corporations. They want money. They're going to make things that are going to make money.
Right.
There are the creatives behind it that put a lot of passion into their work, and it shows through. And that's why you kind of get some sort of like emotion to it. But like, it's parasocial. These guys don't
absolutely, absolutely parasocial. And it's like parasocial in such a weird way, because you mentioned it earlier about the not understanding Japanese culture, right? And this is what annoys me personally about the corporation talking point, especially from people that are like, I don't like talking politics because that's co-opting political, with Japanese companies specifically. It is very common for the employees to feel the same way that the corporation does. Nintendo employees will fight Nintendo down. That they're like, well, if Mario Kart World is worth $80, I think my game's just as good, if not better. So my game should also be $80. They're not like, let's fight for the little guy. I want as many people as possible to play the game. They're like, no, I cooked. I made a W game. I want this game to be as much as we can make for it, because the more money it makes, the more successful I am, and blah, 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 blah. Like, that goes all the way down. It's like everybody involved. Like, people want to infantilize people like a Sakurai or a Kojima or whatever, like, big name developer. But these people are business people as well. Like, they're also in it to make money.
Yeah. And that is the most important thing to keep in mind. I think even more now than ever, as we're starting to see prices start to rise kind of across the board in gaming, is like, if you want your games to stay at a price that you can afford, and you want them to be, we don't want to see like these mass layoffs and all that sort of stuff. We need to be supporting the companies and the developers that are doing good by the consumer.
Exactly.
I'll go. I brought it up when it comes to turn-based RPGs. I'll bring it up again here. And as far as business is concerned, the team behind Expedition 33, it's a small team. They released it for $50. It's one of the best stories in gaming. Like, supporting those studios, those independent studios, is huge. And it's important, because when those sell more units and those do better than mainstream games,
then the big companies look at that and they're like, ooh, maybe we need one of those.
If Expedition 33 does a hell of a lot better than Borderlands 4, that sends a message to Gearbox.
Absolutely.
And that's important. That's what we have to send them that kind of message, or you're always going to have to deal with this. Mario Kart's $80.
Yeah. And conversely, we have stories like Rivals of Aether 2. That game's $30. All the post-release content is free. I think that game maybe sold 250,000 units. Smash Brothers at 30. You know what I mean? And that's kind of that's the other thing, where it's like we see examples like that, or even like multiverses, so on and so forth. There's just so, with Nintendo specifically, it's just hard to argue that their games do not warrant their asking price, because every sign points to them doing that. It's like when other companies try to replicate them, regardless of the price. Like they just announced that Crash Team Racing, Nitro Racing, I think it's called. That game sold 10 million units. I'm pretty sure that's a $40 game.
It's $40.
We're just talking about how Mario Kart 8 sold how many? 68 million? You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. It's like, they're corporations, for better or worse. And like, it would be nice. It's a good dream to have, to be like, man, it would be great if people demanded that we got everything cheaper. But it's just unrealistic to expect for people to not want to spend more money on something that they inherently view as more valuable, for whatever the reason is.
Well, and it's also one of these things where it's so much more difficult to coordinate a consumer base of millions and millions of people versus coordinating a corporation of 100 to 1,000 people.
Exactly.
It is harder, but like that's why you have to
support those games.
Yeah. And you have to talk to your buddies, and when they say, "Oh, I'm gonna spend $80," then you got to go like, "Hey, man, should we?"
Yeah. Do you actually think it's worth that $80? Yes or no? No? Then don't buy it. Just don't buy it.
Like, let's not buy it. The Repo's super fun. It's like $20. We'll go play that for a bit.
Yeah.
Like, then force them to bring that price down.
Exactly. All that to say, Donkey Kong Bananza not even $80, and I see a lot of people on the internet mad as if it is.
Like, it's going to be what, 60, 70?
It's 70. But I saw people run off with that narrative where there's just like every Nintendo Switch 2 game is $80, and it's like, no, the only one that's $80 is Mario Kart World, and that's because y'all bought a port of a game that, like, the game's 10 years old and y'all bought it 70 million times. That's why.
And then bought DLC for it if you weren't on Nintendo.
Yeah. Yes. And even if you were, like, even if you didn't purchase the DLC, it still sends the same message if they see on their spreadsheet that it's like, oh, the line went up when we launched Nintendo Switch Online expansion and Mario Kart at the same time. They're looking at that the same way. They're looking at it as if you bought the DLC, whether you bought the DLC or not, because it's way more worth it for them for you to give them $40 to $80 a year than to give them the $25 once. So, I mean, and I think that for me, like, it's also hard to reconcile it because for all of the things that they do that's like this, they also have things like the Switch Online service, which Xbox Live, the lowest tier Xbox Live, where you could play the video game, and this is also true for PlayStation, where you could play video games online. That's the only feature. $60 a year. I can do all the things with Nintendo Switch Online. Every feature that they offer, $80 for 8 people a year. That's $10 a person a year. And I get access to N64 and GameCube and SNES and Sega Genesis.
You get a lot.
Yeah, and like the same online service that the other guys are offering for just $60. Like, there's still the most affordable option by a long shot. And for whatever reason, they have the reputation of being like the like hard on your wallet dude, and I don't know. I just think it's a contradiction in a lot of ways. Like, they don't lower their prices. That's absolutely true. They give you occasional sales and stuff like that. But if you look at the whole picture, it's not actually what gamers pretend that it is.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's because people need to do a lot more thinking and a lot more data analysis. Yeah. No one wants to do that, so they just go with what is in their most recent memory, and they're like, well, I just paid $40, $30 for like Control Ultimate Edition,
right. And Breath of the Wild is still $60.
Yeah, and it's just like, yes, but like, I don't know, man. Like, you need to just ultimately you need to take a look at your own spending habits and decide whether or not things are wrong.
Yeah. Because I think that's what a lot of people do too. Like, at least in my experience, the way another thing that I look at is I look at the broader like world of entertainment in general. To me, it's like when I think about buying anything, it doesn't matter what console it's on. In fact, I think more about when I buy, because like we already mentioned, as content creators, I don't have any incentive to play an Xbox game. In fact, I have negative incentive to play an Xbox game, because if I'm playing a game, I might as well play one that I can make a video about, but I'm still like, or PlayStation or whatever, I might as well do that on the console that I have, right?
Yeah.
So that's when I like, to the highest degree, but like, okay, can I get this for cheaper, and when can I get it cheaper, blah, blah, blah. But I think about it in the same way with like broad entertainment, where I just went to go see Kendrick Lamar Grand National Tour. As a like 3-hour show, it cost me $250 per ticket. I'm not splitting hairs
tell me-
over playing $80 for a game I'm gonna play for 1,000 hours. Like, I'm just not.
Yeah, but tell me that concert was amazing.
It was so good. It was so good.
Oh God.
It was so
I needed
good.
to hear that.
It was so good. It was a good concert. And like a more like down to earth price wise example, Sinners. I went to go see Sinners and it cost $80. It cost a Mario Kart World for me and my brother to go see Sinners. And like
God.
hour and a half long movie, you know? So it's just so hard to like feel the plight of gamers when that is the discourse and that's their backing of like the cheapest hobby that we have, like dollar to hour, you know, equivalent is getting a little bit more expensive after Spider-Man games started losing money. When Spider-Man is losing money, something's wrong. You know, like
look, I mean, ultimately it comes down to like, and here's the problem, and I'm not going to dive too much more into it. I'm just I'm mention it. It's just an important thing to note that most people's wages have not gone up
Absolutely
over
not.
the last like couple
100%.
decades, and certain people have been constantly rolling in a lot more money while complaining that their companies don't have enough money.
Absolutely,
That's the problem.
See,
it's not,
but that's the thing, right? What we were talking about earlier, the people that listen to the main podcast, you're not going to know about this unless you go to shop.watchdirect.com and become an 8-bit member.
We got you.
We got you.
Oh, we got you.
But I'm just a dude, man. I'm not a corporation. I'm just a man. I have bills too. But no. Like we talked about with that whole thing. Also, me doing that made me lose where I was going.
So a certain 1% of people constantly getting more money.
It's just misdirection. It's like you're getting mad at the wrong person because like that can be like something that you're mad about. But if you look at like, oh, you're mad at Nintendo, the one that is frequently raising their employee salaries, the one that is the only company that's not out here having mass layoffs. And again, they're not perfect. They still had the whole problem with the QA department and them laying those contractors off. But at the end of the day, when you have Sony and Microsoft that in the last like 2 years laid off like 2,000 people each, bare minimum,
and shut down like an incredible studio.
Shut down
I'm so glad that
studios and like canceling all these projects that took years and years to make. Like, we're like, I don't know. I just don't think the narrative sticks. I think that if we're going to use political language and talk about wage theft and all this kind of stuff, go to the proper channels, man. Vote.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
And also speak
it's
where
like,
you're wild. Do both at the same time. But more importantly, if you're going to scream at anybody, call your representative. Like, because Nintendo doesn't care if you scream. All they care about is if you don't spend the money. You can scream all you want, and Shigeru Miyamoto is going to say, "Yo, let's just give him another Mario." You know?
Yeah.
But your representative, they care a lot if you scream, because if they're more at your whim, regardless of how much money you give them. You know, because what your biggest value as a resident in the country is that you keep them in office. So
yeah, and it's just that's just the thing. It's like I understand the rage, I understand the anger and the wanting to just like, why can't anything just be how we feel it should be? But like
the way you solve it is being smarter.
It is being smart about it and directing the anger and your productive time and ability to something you can change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to end it.
I think that's pretty good.
Like, comment, subscribe. I don't know what Dan's doing, but I know he's on Twitch. I'm sure he'll talk about it more. He changed his branding and stuff, so that means that something's coming. Spoilers.
I retired, and I might be coming a bit out of retirement to start jumping back and doing some more stuff. But no more FNAF, and that's
nice.
The exciting part.
We love to see that. And selfishly, that means more me. That means more collaborations.
That means more time with AJ, which is ultimately the big goal. Yeah. So Dan Seibert, Cybert on YouTube, Dan Seibert live on Twitch.
Like, comment, subscribe. Okay, goodbye, people listening to the podcast on podcast services.
Okay, bye.